Okay guys, so yes, I'm doing this again. I have another list and I'm going to go over basically what my findings are for the game so far. Now this is after Super Sketch, if I'm saying his name right. This is after Super Sketch's playthrough, okay? There's probably some things that you're already aware of that I'm just going to restate. But anyway, nonetheless, here we go. So, with this one right here, when you open up the chest, if we really are changing the foxtail to something that looks more like a foxtail, when you open up the item in the chest, it has that old graphic. All you have to do is give me the details of this new graphic, how many colors I can have, blah, 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 blah. And we will fix that to make it look like a foxtail better. Also, the foxtail, wherever it is, I asked the artist to draw two different versions of it. One for when you're walking forwards and you're looking at the back of Conker, and then other when you're looking at the side of Conker. He only drew one version, so I'm still basically I'm going to remind him to draw that other version. So yeah, okay. Now here's something. When you get the Galaxy Guide, if you actually look at it, I know it may be hard here because this is just a screenshot of somebody's movie, but it has like red or something in there. Okay, it has like red in the color somehow, or at least it looks red. Is there any way that we can make it look not brown or red on there? So yeah, again, just tell me the number of colors and everything that I can use, and we can recolor this or whatever, because I don't think it just bugs me how it has a little bit of brown and red in there, even though the other drawings of it don't have that in there. For the Hyrulean Weed Factory, I think it would be better when you leave the factory if the weed effect went away. If you watch Andy's and I think Patty's, maybe, both of them complained about when you leave the weed factory how you're still high, because the thing is that it's a really cool effect, but if it overstays its welcome when you're high in the weed factory and then you're also high outside of the weed factory. And I know the logic is, well, you were just smoking weed or around weed, so you should be high. But the thing is that it seems to become a bothersome gimmick rather than something that is funny or something that's fun. So I think that the weed effects should actually go away as soon as you leave the weed factory, and that's that. Okay. This one. So I had baby aliens drawn, right? Like right here, okay? But the color palette doesn't look anything like a baby alien. It should have like a flesh color tone to it. So if it's possible, could you change the palette to make it look more like it's an alien instead of just a blue creature, because it doesn't look like anything there. As far as this goes right here, as Super Sketch pointed out, and I actually didn't know this, if you push the block and pick up the pot, it causes the block to become stuck. If you look at my original design for this, I actually don't have a pot here. So it's not a requirement that a pot is actually here. So the easiest solution to this is just to remove this pot. Also, there's a block down here, but in my design, you actually only need two pushable blocks. You technically don't need this third one. It's just fine that you have it. I'm not saying remove it, but you only need two blocks to solve this puzzle or this design. You don't need an extra block. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah. Oh, also, I think he was talking about in his video that you can that this situation never happens in the original Zelda. Now, I actually think it does happen. I want to actually look back in the game to see if it happens anywhere else, but I think it happens in one particular spot, and that spot is the Ice Palace. Remember when you go to the boss and you have to push a block from the second floor or whatever, the, in floor, the nth floor, whatever floor it's on, and then the previous floor, there's that switch that you have to push the block onto that switch. Well, that switch has a pot on top of it. And the pushable block in Zelda, the original, can only move one space. So that pushable block is right next to a pot. So I think in that particular spot in the ice dungeon, this glitch actually happens in the original game, despite me never actually experiencing it. Anyway, pretty interesting. So yeah, just remove that pot. This has always confused me, and what's confused me about it is you have the Doctor's TARDIS, right? But the thing is that you never use this in the game, right? You never use it ever once in the game. So I don't understand why it's there, okay? Like, if you don't use it, I would remove it. However, and if you're not going to remove it, then make it useful. Make it so that you can actually go in it or out of it somehow. I mean, unless I'm missing something, I don't think this is ever used. So to me, it just confuses me as a player, because it's like, well, how can I get in there? How can I not get in there? Anyway. This is kind of the same thing for the Galaxy Guide. Some of the palettes are really weird, okay? So look at this. In the item menu, the hammer is like whitish, something like that. It's kind of like a tan or a white. But when you pick it up, it's blue and like orange, or blue and brown. So if the hammer is going to have kind of like whitish graphics, and that's what I told the Pixel guy to do. I said just match the color or whatever. Technically you can color it whatever you want, but the thing is that whatever color we go with the actual Thor hammer, when I get the rest of the graphics, I would like for these colors to match the colors of the actual Thor hammer, because right now it's blue and orange, and I think that it just looks really off. Okay, now there's this wall, right? And I think I've mentioned this before, but honestly, I think this wall should be removed. And again, I know what you were trying to do. You put this wall here so that the player has to jump on all these gears. And if the wall were to be removed, then the player wouldn't jump on all the gears. But the thing is that it's like you put the wall here so that they would take this other route that you purposely designed, but this other route is so inconvenient that if you were to remove the wall, then no one would ever take this this gear path over here. So that's why you have the wall there. But here's the thing. To me, when I play the game, it's like you're forcing me to do something, and it's frustrating because it could be so much easier, okay? And whoever would have designed this house, if they would have really put a wall here, they'd be retarded, okay? Like, trust me, like, do that. Have, like, a kitchen to your house, and it has, like, 2 pathways to get to your kitchen, and like close one of them up and see how frustrating that is in real life. I guarantee you, just like stack a bunch of boxes in the way. And if you have like, family members, or if you're living with somebody, actually, I do this as a real experiment. I'm not even joking you. If you are not living alone and there's somebody else that you're living with, I want you to get a bunch of boxes and find, and if your kitchen has 2 openings to it, okay, I want you to border up one opening with a bunch of boxes, okay? And I want you to see what the other person says. And I guarantee you the other person's going to say, this is frustrating. Can you please take the boxes down? And that's exactly what this feels like. So my suggestion, God, you probably hate that word. Anyway, my suggestion is remove this. Like, do it now. Like, now. Anyway, okay, another thing is, I remember when I first played, like, one of the earlier versions of the game, like, I don't know, a year ago or something, I played an old version of this game a long time ago, and I swear that the robot graphics, or the graphics are just fine, it's the palettes. I swear that I played an older version of this game and the palettes looked actually really good. But then somehow there was an update and then the palettes didn't look that good. So, and I know I suggested that it has red eyes, but here's the thing. I'm suggesting that you redo the palette on this robot because it seems like it doesn't have enough colors in it. It seems like it's almost like a 8-bit NES graphic palette rather than a 16-bit SNES game graphic palette. If for some reason it just feels weird. And you could even make them gray or something to make them contrast between the color of the robot and the color of the gears, because they basically match the color of the gears. You might go for a gray look or maybe like a rust brown look. I honestly don't know, but I think the colors need to be changed on the robots because I don't think they look that great. However, since you have now put the new head on the robots, the sideways view of them actually looks really good. Before they had this head that didn't match their body at all, but now it actually matches. So, you know, that is a pro. But I think the colors on the graphic on the robot it seems as if he's missing colors. Anyway, this room right here, I don't think I have any complaints on this entire dungeon except for this one room. And the reason why I have problems with this room is because it seems to me that whenever you enter the room and you try to do this thing, okay, whenever you try to do this whole thing, it seems to me that the switch is always off, okay, which means that this spike thing is down, and you go here on this, you know, on this whatever, this trail or whatever, the guide, the line guide, and so you go on this line guide, but the problem is that the only time that it seems that you have a chance to hit the crystal is when you're actually going backwards. And so usually this is down, and so you want to hit the crystal to make this go up, but you can only do that when you go backwards. So it's like you may have to make a loop around, then hit it, then do it again, then hook shot over here. And every time I do it, it just feels very clumsy and it doesn't feel good. And now it's all changed and there's all this other stuff here. Honestly, I think this room needs to be redesigned. And that's the only room that I think that needs to be redesigned in this entire dungeon. It just feels strange every time I do it. I might sit down and see if I can come up with something. I actually like the idea of hook-shotting off of the platform over to something else. Now, it doesn't have to be where you run into spikes if you don't. You could always do some type of loop thing where you just never get off the platform if you don't hook-shot off of it. But anyway, this room, I think, needs to be redesigned. It just feels very, very strange every time I play it. I'm sure you're aware of this. There was this red thing that popped up. Also, another thing about this area is that this entire area is just a solid color. It seems as if there's not a whole lot that this area offers. It might be interesting, or it might be better if, you know, that little plant graphic that you have, it might be actually really neat to put a bunch of those plant graphics everywhere, and then you have to dig up the correct one. Of course, it's a trial and error, but the whole thing is, well, technically, only the heart piece is trial and error at this point. But if you had like 3 or 4 little plants, it actually might be better than just having one, because it makes the area feel like it has more to it than just a flat, plain, solid color graphic. Anyway, I'm just, you know, saying you might spruce up the area a little bit if you can. I don't know if you're able to just put that graphic in a couple places to make the area look like there's more to it. I don't know if you're able to do that, or if that graphic is only associated with the actual item. Anyway. I will say this, is that the fireball things, they look absolutely excellent, and I think that's a huge improvement, and thank you so much for doing that. The previous graphics, I think they needed an overhaul. Okay, Bart looks like he has a broken neck. He might have to be fixed. Also, another thing is the Simpsons area outside of this little garage, the actual Simpsons area, it seems to me like whenever I go to that area, it just feels really empty. I don't know if you have other sprites and stuff or room for extra graphics or any more graphic spots left, but it might be beneficial to put another Simpsons character in this area. I don't know, like Lisa Simpson or Maggie Simpson or some other character, and put them on the outside of the house or someplace, or in the front yard or something. It might bring that area to life, because this whole area is basically, it's like a house and there's nothing else. There's no people or anything to talk to. So I don't know if you have another sprite that you haven't used that you can use for another Simpsons character, but that could be an option. Also, I think it's Lisa that plays the saxophone, right? It would make sense if Lisa were playing something and music notes were coming out of it. I don't think Bart plays any instrument, does he? Anyway, so I don't... It might be neat to put another Simpsons character, not in the garage, but on the outside of the house someplace, and you can talk to him or something. But Bart needs to probably be fixed, or swap it out for Lisa or something, because Lisa plays an instrument. Maybe put Bart on the outside and change this to Lisa. Just an idea. There's this room with the mimic, and then there's the room underneath it. And these rooms, to me, they have no appeal to them. In fact, the room below this, it's my puzzle, or it's my design. I don't even know how to do it correctly. I know you can do it, but I don't even remember what the correct solution was to do it. It was a long time ago, and I never can remember what to do. Or I think I designed it one way, but I think the way you have it is different than how I designed it. So anyway, this room and the room below it, I'm just not happy with these rooms. And I have plenty of other designs. We don't have to use mimics for this area, although mimics are rare and you can only use them in special places. Just because you can use them doesn't mean you have to use them. So this design and the design under it, I'm not happy with. I have tons of other designs, or I can design something new. But these, it just doesn't seem to do anything for the dungeon that makes it cool. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it offers anything positive to this dungeon. Pokey here is blue and like this brownish red, and I'm noticing that that's a trend, is that you have some of these color palettes are like blue and like red, and it's used for a lot of things, like the Galaxy guy when you open it out of the chest, Thor's hammer, this thing. I've always wanted to see the what is it called? The funny stack or something? This is called the something fuzzy stack. I've always wanted to see the fuzzy stack turn into Pokey, because it's like a perfect match. And since you have a Mario Brothers theme here, why not? However, this doesn't look like Pokey. Now, you can make him like yellow and make his little spikes green or whatever, how he's supposed to be. But I mean, you don't have to do that. You could just make him all green, kind of like those cactus guys. Like you have that one green cactus guy in the front of this dungeon. It's like the cucumber dude. I mean, if you pick a green color, that would be just fine too. But you need to pick a better color than this, because this just looks bad. It looks like a bad color palette. So pick a better color palette for Pokey. Either make him yellow or maybe make him green. If you have him green, it's a nice contrast between, like a yellowish orangish and a green. It has a nice contrast there. Or make him yellow with green spikes. Anyway, there's ways to do it. It's just that he doesn't look good the way he is. Now, I've also said things about this one over before. The thing is that what I want is I want a game that's fresh from beginning to end. And if there are things that just continuously happen over and over, like this design, we've already done this design, And if you do the exact same design again, somebody automatically knows what to do. I think that another design would be better here because we've already done a puzzle like this before. I mean, if we can't think of anything that's better than this, okay, fine, keep it. But I would like to come up with something different for this so that it's not like the player doesn't think to themselves, oh, I've already done that, I know what to do. Because what does that have to offer a player if they already know what to do? If I already know what to do before I've even analyzed the design or the puzzle, if I already know what to do, then that doesn't offer me anything as a player because I don't have to think or anything. It's something that I've already done. Anyway, but I am very impressed that you were able to debug it because this was something that I knew it had problems when I designed it, and I had no idea that there was actually a fix for it. And I actually created a fix for this, but it's very complicated and it involves a lot of other things, and it's way too complicated, and just the only thing that we had to do was separate these guys by a single tile, and that was it. And what I never considered was the automatic magic refill option, and that's because I always played or tested this out on the original Zelda without the auto refill, so I never thought to do that. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, and here's Conquer using I want to get this graphic right here. I want to get this one changed so that he has two different poses, so it looks better. So I'm gonna work on that, and a couple other notes. Let me see here. Let me quickly read through these. See if there's anything. There's a couple things on here. Oh yeah, the subway dungeon floor tile that needs to be drawn better. I'm gonna work on that. Also, there was some new shirts drawn for Conquer. I didn't see them inserted into the game, but really it's personal preference. You can decide on that or not. The little Link shirt might actually be better. I don't know, because you switch between all these characters. So you can choose. You could either keep that, put it in the game, or leave it out. I'm not too worried about that, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Anyway, this one, arrow graphics show up when you shoot the slingshot pebbles. That's been an issue. I'm sure you know about that. But anyway, I just want to double confirm that. Is there any way to fix that? Because you're shooting arrows instead of pebbles. Also, I mentioned this, is that when you pick up the arrow sprite ammo thing, for more ammo for arrows, I don't think that arrow is the same graphic as the arrow that you shoot. I would really like them to be the exact same graphic. All you have to do is make a special, take the arrow graphic, put that in as a regular graphic, and I know you know how to do it. One thing I learned is that you can change the bee into a fairy. I had no idea you can do that. Alien babies are okay. I'm assuming you're going to put the new Fire Rod graphics in the game. I think it would look better, just because it would be different. Even if the Ice Rod is also a mushroom, there's I think it would be great. Let's see here. There is that one room in the Star Wars dungeon where Super Sketch, he tried to go backwards instead of using the warp of return. He tried to go backwards through the dungeon, and you modified that one room that has the hook-shottable pegs going through the blue bumpers, and he couldn't go backwards, and I'm pretty sure you're aware of that. But I just wanted to double mention that. Deku platform is still red in some dungeons. I don't know if you can, when you go through the rift, when you enter and exit the doorways, those doorways, the graphics are just, they don't seem like they're proper doors. They almost kind of look like glitch graphics. I don't know if there's a way to fix that, but it's the door entrances in the, the space areas. Yeah, there's another thing in my dev area where you hit the blue bumper and you go to the warp. You could always modify that area and move the warp over to the left, like open up that space and move that stuff over. Let me see if I have if I saved that. Yeah, I think I did. Yes, I just didn't go far enough in this. So one thing that you can do is you could open up this area right here. You could open up this and then just move this over to the left or to the right. Or you could put just a small rail or small fence in front of this so that you don't get bumped into the thing. I mean, it's kind of close quarters there, but that's the only thing I can think of is just put a small little rail in front of there. Of course, you could always use a different design. Another thing that I hadn't thought of, that I just recently thought of, is that you're pushing this block, right? You're pushing this block right here. You're pushing this, whatever, this way. That means that you could potentially push it down this hole, right? I haven't tried to do this, but you could potentially push it down this hole. Now, I think that when you fall down a hole, it leads you to another area, but I think that that area re-leads you back to here. I don't know if it's one of those rooms where the rooms are stacked on top of each other like this, and then they just cycle over and over, where it's like impossible physics, like a portal level, you know, where you're literally falling through one room and then you fall through that room and then you end up in the room before. I can't remember exactly, but I think that's what's happening here. I actually have a question for you. If you take a block and you push it down and it goes down to the next level, and then you push that same block down another hole that brings it back to this level, that would mean that you would then have an extra block. You'd have this block and then the block, or you'd have two blocks now when you only had one. If you kept on repeating that process, how many blocks could you physically have in a room before the game crashes? Or is that allowed? Are you allowed to just have more and more and more blocks as long as you keep on creating more and keep on pushing them down, if the rooms keep on lapping on top of each other like an endless cycle? Anyway, just something I thought of. Also, since I was really trying to get all new graphics for all of the remaining vanilla stuff, these Armos Knights right here, you have these 4 Armos Knights. I actually got that adult alien graphic. I got that made specifically for these because, well, Conquer has aliens in it, and without an alien, it just doesn't feel like a Conquer game. So I got those. So I don't know if you want to keep these graphics, but I think the aliens would look a lot better. Just because aliens are, you know, associated with Conquer. I mean, it just wouldn't be a Conquer game without an adult alien in there. Yeah, so there we go. What else? I think that's it. So anyway, so as you can see, this list right here, it's not 200 or 300 things long. It was only 26 items long or whatever. So anyway, so you know, it's getting down and down, you know. So eventually it'll be 0. But you know, I need to be happy about this game and I need to feel proud about it. And so these are my current issues with the game, and I need the final result to be something that I'm very happy with and that I could, you know, promote, and I can feel proud and accomplished, and then I can leave this project knowing that I'm content with it or whatever. Anyway, so there you go. And I hope you watch this. Thank you for watching. And look, I know, look, this is, making a game is a pain in the ass, okay? It's a pain in the ass, even me analyzing this game and writing up a report about it. It is. I mean, it's a lot of hard work. But anyway, somebody's got to do it, and somebody's got to make a really good game. And if it is good, here's the thing. If the game is really good, people will be playing it. Not just this year, not just next year. People will be playing it 10 years from now, 20 years from now, even 30 years from now. Look at NES games, regular NES games, the 8-bit Nintendo. People are still freaking playing those games now. And those games were made back in the freaking 80s. Look at Donkey Kong. The Donkey Kong Arcade. I think that was 81, right? That game's older than I am. There are still people today playing that game. In fact, there's a community of people who play that game competitively for high scores. In fact, for world records. Because I'm familiar with that group of people, and they get together, and it's called the Kong Off or whatever, and they have all these Donkey Kong machines, and all of these guys get together, and they're all super experts, and I think there's like 20 of them or something that are really good, and they go for the high score on Donkey Kong, and they try to get over like 1,000,000 points, and then there's like some kill screen that happens. I think 1,200,000 points is like basically the max for Donkey Kong. It can't really be pushed a lot higher than that because it has this kill screen. But anyway, the whole point is that game is freaking older than I am, and people are still playing it. And here's the thing. If you make a good game, it will never die. Okay? And I'm going to end this video on that note. If you make a good game, it'll never die. It'll even outlive even you. Okay? So, I want this to be a good game. If I didn't give a crap about this game, I wouldn't be making all these videos. I wouldn't be writing up a list of 200 things. Okay? I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't really care about this. Also, for the graphics, I'm going to get all of the graphics from the dude and just send them to you all in one go, and then that'll be it. And I will make sure that the graphics that I have or whatever are basically the last graphics that I need to give to you so that we don't have to worry about it anymore. So I'm just going to get all the last graphics, send them to you in one go, and then that should be it. But anyway, there's some other little issues with the game that probably need to be fixed. And also, once people start playing this game, there's going to be other things that are going to pop up that you had no idea about. Because even this one guy, where is it? Where is it? By the way, it's a miracle that I'm seeing this page right here. And I can't believe the artist that I found actually drew it like days before we released this. Okay, let me see here. I wrote a hint to somebody. Oh, here we go. It says right here, it says, is there supposed to be an extra key somewhere in the phony substation? I'm looking around for a key to get past one of the key doors, and so far, no bueno. I most likely guarantee you he's in that room that there's those 4 blobs in the 4 corners, and there's that chest that pops up after you kill the blobs, and he just didn't kill the blobs. Or it's probably something similar. It's one of those kill all the enemies to find the thing. You might put a note in that dungeon that says Zelda 101 FAQ or something like that. If you kill all enemies in rooms, prizes come. I don't know. Prizes happen or something like that. Or Zelda 101 fact or whatever. Killing monsters in dungeon rooms. I don't know. Generates things. I can't even think of the word for it right now. But just say you might put a message that says, kill all the enemies in dungeons for prizes. There you go. Right there. So that could be something, because it seems as if a lot of people are having problems with that, with the game. Anyway, I do want to say congratulations. Sorry, we can't get to the congratulations yet. The MSU1 voiceovers. When I watched the what's his name, Super Sketch, when he beat the game, the voiceovers started playing immediately. Okay, there wasn't a pause or anything. There probably should be like a 5-second pause or whatever before the actual audio starts playing. And the audio was very low. I could barely hear myself. And then the Conker voice was very high. The volume was very high. And so I think the voice probably needs to be higher than the music, louder than the music, so you could actually hear the voiceovers, and then maybe tone down the Conker voice a little bit to match the narrator's voice, because it seemed out of place. So that is also something that might have to be done. again, it's tons of extra work and everything, but it's just part of the deal. So anyway, and I think that was mentioned by some other people too, that the narrator voice was very quiet. And unfortunately, when I recorded that on my microphone, I recorded it at negative 10 dB, which means it records at negative 10 decibels than what it should. And I didn't know that about my microphone because I remember looking up some tutorials on the microphone and somebody said that that's the way you want to do it, but you only want to do negative 10 dB if you're recording something very loud, like a rock concert. But for normal voices, you're supposed to do 0 dB, and that means that it's not boosting or dampening the sound at all. Anyway, I can always re-record stuff if you want, although that's a pain in the ass too. So yeah, there we go. And now I'm actually going to test some things because there's a couple things that I need to test because I think there might be some places to get stuck. There might be a couple of places, bugs in the game that I never thought about that I just thought about after watching Super Sketch. And also another thing is that even though we think we're done, we're just entering in the next phase of this game's development, and that is listening to the people and getting feedback. And then also there's going to be people that are going to find other soft locks and stuff into the game too. I just know it. There's going to be other people that are going to find all kinds of problems that we never thought of, simply because now it's getting an actual public release and now all kinds of people are playing it. So there might be additional adjustments or tweaks or whatever that we have to do simply because we're going to see the feedback from the community and we're going to see, you know, what's going on. Even though we think we squashed all the bugs, I'm sure a couple more are going to pop up. So it's not that we're done. It's just that we're entering another phase of the game's progress. And there's been, I watched this other game documentary. It was called, what's that thing? It's like that by Heart Machine. It's called the guy with the weird sword that looks all cool. It's called I can't think of it, but it's supposed to be in the style of a retro game, but with some modern stuff. It was made in Game Maker, and the guy, he has a heart problem. Hyper Light Drifter. That's it. That team of people, once they actually made the game, then they people like were complaining about something, and then they had to make a bunch of adjustments like after the game was already made. Like it happens to everybody. It's just part of, you know, a game's development, is that changes happen after it gets made. Anyway, so this video is ending now, and I hope you take some of this into consideration, and I'll let you know when I get the rest of the graphics, and then the game should be in a much happier state. Anyway, so there you go. And I'm done.